The third installment in this new Star Trek franchise sounds interesting.
Fear of death is illogical.
Fear of death is what keeps us alive.
Everyone who goes there, he kills.
That's our friends out there. We can't just leave them behind.
Unity is not your strength. It is a weakness.
I think you're underestimating humanity.
Hold on to something! Fire at will! Do it! Do it!
So Star Trek Beyond is directed by Justin Lin, and it stars Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Simon Pegg, Anton Yelchin, and Idris Elba. And I was never really a big fan of the Star Trek series back when I was a kid. It was just kind of before my time. I never really was a big fan of it. But this new Star Trek reboot franchise, I've been a huge fan of since the very beginning. When I first saw the first one back in 2009, I was just kind of a little kid. And I remember loving it and rewatching it so many times. And Star Trek Into Darkness, I actually really enjoyed, even though a lot of the critics didn't like it so much. And I'm so glad I can say the same thing about Star Trek Beyond. I really had just so much fun with this movie, and I really think it's just such a great time at the movie theater, especially during the summer. Now, going into this movie, I was a little nervous because J.J. Abrams dropped the project, mostly because he's been working on other franchises such as, well, Star Wars, and Justin Lin took over. And Justin Lin is known mainly for directing Fast and Furious movies, which are pretty decent movies for what they are. They're just kind of ridiculous, action-packed, nonsensical movies. So I was kind of nervous because Star Trek has a much more intelligent vibe than Fast and Furious to me, and I was really nervous going in. But I felt like Justin Lin did a great job taking this franchise in its own direction. Now, just getting into my favorite things about this new Star Trek movie is how the cinematography looks. I've always felt this way about these movies. It's just so clean and crisp, and everything just feels so well put together, and just like everything was just so perfectly crafted to create such a beautiful image, and the camera tricks and the camera movement is all just so flawless, and it looks unbelievably beautiful while you're watching it. Now, possibly the greatest thing about this movie is the cast and how they return as this great ensemble, and every character gets at least a little moment to let them shine. Although the plot mainly focuses on Kirk, Bones, and Spock and their relationship, the other characters do get at least one short moment to themselves. And as far as the universe, it does expand the universe a little bit, although I was expecting the movie to expand the universe more and be a more universal picture. Now, granted, when you watch Into Darkness or the first Star Trek, it feels like this huge thing, this huge movie, this huge world that you can explore. And this movie feels a lot more contained, which was a little disappointing to me, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The movie just feels very contained, which in this world, in this day and age where people are just constantly trying to add these meaningless subplots, it was kind of refreshing to see such a contained story. But also it kind of bothered me because in the world of Star Trek, when you have so much mythos to feed off of and draw to create this story, you get kind of a bogged down story in the end. Now, as far as the villain goes, Krall, as portrayed by Idris Elba, he is a unbelievably menacing villain. From the first time he goes on screen, you just realize this guy is a presence. He is someone you don't want to mess with, and he's really gonna be a problem for the crew of the Enterprise. And sure enough, he is a serious villain, and he does not mess around. You really don't want to mess with this guy. Now, probably the best aspect of Star Trek Beyond is the fight sequences and how every fight sequence one-ups itself. They do all these crazy things without spoiling anything. They just continuously one-up themselves. I was sitting there watching it thinking, oh my god, this is amazing. There's no way it could get more crazy and ridiculous than this. And sure enough, the movie just continues to up the ante and continues to get more and more crazy, and the stakes just keep getting higher and higher, and is really brilliant the way they make you care about these characters and watch these ridiculous fight sequences, but also believe that this stuff is actually possible and is actually happening. It doesn't feel like people are just superhuman. It really does feel grounded, but at the same time ridiculous and like Star Trek. Now, in the end, there's not much more to say about Star Trek Beyond. It's a really fun, really great, action-packed adventure Star Trek movie that you can go and bring the entire family to see, and I think is a really great time at the movie theater. Although the plot does feel a little bogged down and a little bit smaller than it needed to be, the movie is just so brilliant on all the other cylinders. It's really just a great time at the movie theater. And that's why I'm going to give Star Trek Beyond a 3.5 out of 4. Thanks, guys. That's the review of Star Trek Beyond. I hope you liked it. I hope you drop me a subscribe, drop me a like, whatever it is you do here on YouTube, and I'll see you next week.